Yeah, right on. So let's look at these like three versions then. So the first one that you talked about is absolute idealism. So do you want to talk about like what it is, and then like do you think it does conflict with common sense?
Yeah, so in this absolute idealism is what you might think of when you first hear the term idealism. It's a very radical view according to which there's just one immaterial mental thing, a mind or consciousness or a spiritual substance or something like that, and nothing else. So the appearance that there are non-mental material objects or anything other than this one immaterial mind is just an illusion. All is one, and this one thing is mental. So this version of idealism has a long history in both Eastern thought and Western thought, but at least in analytic circles, it's most closely associated with the German idealists like Hegel and Schopenhauer, and their English counterparts like F.H. Bradley and John McTaggart. So,
Hmm.
does this view, the view that there's just one immaterial thing, a mind, nothing else, that's it, does that conflict with common sense? Well, what do you think, Zach?
I mean, I've never actually believed that exists, so obviously, but no, I've obviously had the same. No, I've had this very same intuitions. Like, there's obviously more than existence than like the absolute mind, so it goes against my basic intuitions.
Yeah, it seems like it's a pretty straightforward violation of common sense. You know, it's the denial, straightforward denial of the reality of appearances, including the reality of time, space, matter, the distinction between you and other minds, any distinctions of any kind. So, as I say, this is a pretty radical version of idealism that when you read the proponents of this view, they actually flaunt this. They actually like ingest. They like the fact that it's so flagrantly contradictory to the hoi polloi, to what like most people believe, and
Hmm.
so they relish in the fact that it's conflicting with common sense.
Kind of reminds me of like my friends. They joined like an intramural basketball league at my university, and like their goal was like to be the opposite of basketball. They got kicked out of the league because their goal was to be like to play the opposite of basketball. Like they were like all wearing like Converse and like high top like short shorts and just like all kind. They're just like trying to stand out as much as possible and be like, hey,
Uh,
look at us. We're not even like trying to make sense. And it seems like to me like absolute idealism. I thought of that because like it's a little bit like that when you talk about these people that are like, yeah, we have this idea, you don't exist, I don't exist, this idea doesn't really exist either, I guess, if you're going to follow it all the way through. And it's just like it seems just to go against everything that we kind of think about when we're thinking about the world.
it really does, and there's this great passage in Bertrand Russell's autobiography when he's talking about how he used to believe in this version of idealism, and he talks about how he was talked out of this version of idealism, or he's argued out of it by G.E. Moore. And
Mhm.
uh, if I could just pull up this great quote, um, he says, Bradley had argued that everything that common sense believes is mere appearance. We reverted to the opposite extreme and thought that everything is real that common sense, uninfluenced by philosophy or theology, supposes real. With a sense of escaping from prison, we allowed ourselves to think that grass is green, that the sun and stars would exist if no one was aware of them, and also that there is a pluralistic, timeless world of Platonic ideas. The world, which had been thin and logical under idealism, suddenly became rich and varied and solid. So it's this idea of him being emancipated from the prison of absolute idealism and all of its esoteric arguments.